John, we're all doing well there. So everybody practiced yesterday, and looks like we'll do the same today. With that, time is yours here.
Coach, Legarius told us last night. Stand by. Please raise your hand if you have a question, okay? Coach, Legarius told us last night he had cleared the concussion protocol. How is he feeling at this point, and how important is it to have him back in the secondary?
Yeah, it's great to have him back. He did get out of the protocol there and pass it, and is doing well. So he'll be back at working.
Andy, we all remember the last time you were in the Super Bowl. You didn't have most of your starting offensive line, but that was obviously what dictated the game with Patrick running for like 500 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Can you just revisit that offseason, how you rebuilt it to these 4 new starters that you have, and how important that rebuilding of the offensive line has been to you getting here now?
Yeah, so the offensive line has done a nice job. We actually have a couple of the guys still remaining from that team, and then we've added a few in. Brett Veach made that one of his projects after that Super Bowl and did a nice job of bringing in the new guys. They fit in well and done well.
Coach Reid, obviously it's been a long time since you've been back in Arizona. I know you were offensive line coach up at NAU. How has Arizona changed since you've been here, and how does it feel to be back in the Super Bowl here?
Yeah, so I stop by periodically because my wife's family is from here. And so we drop in every now and again, and the valley has grown. I still remember driving from Los Angeles, and I-10 stopped out by where the stadium is, and you get off and drive through a bunch of fields there and to get to Glendale, and it's grown. I mean, it's grown and grown and grown. Tribute to the politicians in the city that have done a nice job putting it together.
And then obviously with Super Bowl events, I get 2 weeks between the game, but with the momentum you guys have had, do you feel like you'd like to just play 1 week after the championship game, keep the momentum going?
No, I mean, I think it's good to get the rest in, heal the guys up that were banged up a little bit, and then there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of prep, this type of thing, and the tickets and all of that stuff that the guys have to deal with. So taking a couple of days to get that knocked out, I think is a good thing, and then you're able to prep and get yourself going and try to put out the best product you can.
Coach, you mentioned some of the players at practice yesterday. Kadarius Toney, Juju Smith-Schuster, how they look so far, and then what are you anticipating for them leading up to this game?
Yeah, they practiced yesterday. They'll go again today. They look good, and then we'll see how it goes the rest of the week. I mean, this is today will be an easy day, and then we've got three days that are a little tougher. We'll just see where they're at. Yesterday we were able to put the pads on and go in pads and get some work done there. The guys hadn't had them on for a week, so.
Hey, Coach, can you put into words what Isaiah Pacheco has meant to this team, maybe not even just from an on-the-field standpoint, but his young energy, attitude on what's primarily a veteran team, what he's brought to you guys?
Yeah, I tell you that, what you just said. He's got a tremendous amount of energy, loves to play the game. He's smart. We asked the running backs to do quite a bit in the run game and the pass game and protections. So he has handled all that, done it well. But most of all, he is that energizer bunny guy. I mean, he's got endless energy, and you see it when he's on the field playing. You see it at practice. That's who he is.
Coach, to your left.
Hi, Coach. You started your head coaching tenure with the Eagles back, and you coached with them for 13 seasons. Is there any special connection with both franchises heading into this game, and that you owe to the state of Philadelphia and their fans as well?
Yeah, listen, I had 14 great years there. I loved every minute of it. It's a great organization. I still am close with the people there. It was great to see the kids that we had drafted that are now these veteran players, all pro players, and on that team. I had a chance to give them a hug last night and and now we go our separate ways and we get ready to play. So it's but I'm proud of them for what they've done. Proud of Howie Roseman for what he's done. He's done a great job of retooling that team a couple different times, and that's not an easy thing to do. And he probably doesn't get enough credit for that.
Coach, right over here. Hey, Andy,
Right, Adam?
with regarding Clyde, you expecting him to be up Sunday? And if so, what are your expectations for him if he does have to play?
Yeah, we'll practice him this week and just see where we're at. Jones has done a good job for us too, so we'll just see how that all works out. But it's good to have him back for sure.
Coach, with Mahomes, I know he battled through the high ankle in the AFC title, looked pretty good, pulled up the one time. What has the training staff meant for his recovery, and how close is he to 100% now?
Yeah, so I wouldn't tell you he's 100%, but the training staff works with him endlessly. I guess it'd be a tribute to both of them for Pat coming back for more and for those guys cranking on him. So Julie spent most of the time with him, rehabbing him, and we've got all the latest, greatest stuff to use technology-wise. So he's used it all and has been able to make these jumps here where he can actually function and play in a game, which is pretty remarkable.
Andy, back over here. Back to your Eagles connection. Can you appreciate the irony that it's the Eagles that are standing in the way of this team getting another Super Bowl win?
Yeah, I mean, I guess initially you feel that or sense that or see it. You're living it. I think it's a great thing for the Eagles. I think it's great for the Chiefs to be in this position. Once you get through all that, now it's the teams playing each other, and it doesn't really matter the uniform. Once the game gets going, it's football. Who's got the better team, better players, better coaches, and who gets a break here or there. All those things that normally happen in a football game takes place. So you kind of blank all the other stuff out. Not too worried about that. You don't let it get in the way of your preparation. You try to maximize your preparation as you go forward here. So, yeah, but initially, I mean, that's quite a deal. It's a great storyline for you guys, and I mean, with the Kelsey brothers, they'll give you more. So,
Coach Spag shared with us that he journals and has kept notes of the things that he's experienced through these Super Bowls, and he's been reflecting more on almost the mistakes he's made, the things that he did wrong during a Super Bowl week. For you, is there any one thing that you perhaps did wrong in the years past that maybe you want to do different, whether that means you individually or as a team?
yeah, so I really do that every game, and not that I share it here, but I mean, I would tell you that every game you're very self-critical, and you try to make sure that you don't repeat the same mistakes twice, especially in this business. You get fired real quick if you're doing that. So, I mean, it's no different for the Super Bowl games. Yeah, there are things you come out and you probably wish you could have done better. Even the one, you know, the one that we won, there were things I felt, you know what, we could do this better than we did. But I can give you one for your thing. We can't have as many penalties as we did the last one. So that's for sure.
Andy, you've relied heavily this year on rookie DBs. You have, of course, Cook as a safety, also the three corners who have played more and more as the year has gone on. What have you seen in their progression that's allowed them to be as competent as they've been and as quickly as they've been?
Yeah, well, they're willing guys to try things. It's one thing when you have a player that you're coaching and he tries it in practice, but he's not willing to try it in a game. So these guys are very gifted athletes, very talented to start with. And then what you're just trying to do as a coach is give them one more thing to make them greater than what they are, or potentially greater than what they are with the young guys. So these kids have been willing to listen to David and Donald and what they're teaching, Spags, and learning his scheme. So my hat goes off to them. They're good kids. They work hard. They want to be good. And every week they've gotten a little bit better, which is, again, a tribute to their work ethic.
Yeah, right here, Coach Reid. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah, I know you are.
Yeah, could you discuss, moving on from Tyreek Hill and the revamping of your wide receiving core with Marquez, Juju, and Sky Moore
Yeah, you bet.
and other guys?
Yeah. So listen, nobody's happier for Tyreek than I am. I mean, he made a lot of money and he gained a lot of yards. I mean, he had a great year. So, Pro Bowl player, All-Pro player. But on the other hand, I'm proud of our guys for the job that they've done. We had a lot of new faces in there. With the exception of McCole, most of the guys were new guys. And I thought they stepped up. I was really proud of the way Pat and Kels brought the guys into the mix and welcomed them in and then worked with them and helped teach them. And so and listen, Pat Mahomes is a pretty good quarterback, so we didn't lose Pat Mahomes. That was a good thing. He makes those guys look good in a lot of ways, and they help make him look good too. So it's a good relationship.
Andy, what made Juju Smith-Schuster an attractive option for you guys, and what has he brought specifically to the Chiefs?
Yeah, so I love Juju. Great personality. So that we like that addition that way. But he also complements Kelsey. He has that ability to feel in space openings, and Patrick trusts that. He's sure-handed. He's great after the catch. He's tough to bring down, and he's smart. I mean, he picked all this stuff up and he did it well. So, got the confidence of the quarterback. That takes a lot.
Andy over here. Last season, right before you played Philadelphia in the regular season, you had a little bit of a health scare, but you always mentioned over and over how the players kind of help you through that. How the youthful exuberance of the players that you have now, especially a guy like Patrick and some of the other guys, helped you to get to a point where you're still wanting to coach for the next maybe 4 or 5 years down the road?
Yeah, well, that and the doctors, they help, but those guys, their support was great. I mean, the players' support. They just told me to get my butt off the ground and keep moving. Kind of threw back what I throw at them. But they've been great that way. They were great during that time. At that moment, they were great. And then the doctors, my hat goes off to those guys for the work that they do.
Andy, Clark was telling stories this morning about that 9-hour meeting you had with him at the Philly airport before you were hired. Was wondering what your recollections were of that meeting, and were you ever tempted to tell him, hey, I got this plane waiting for me outside, I need to go?
Yeah, that was that was a long day, and I remember it fairly well. And he brought the whole organization with him, I felt like, and so I had a chance to meet everybody. The time flew by. I felt bad about the plane, though. I mean, that was waiting. I did feel bad about that, but I know everybody involved knows that's part of the business. And things have worked out well for the other teams.
All right, we're gonna do 3 more. We're gonna go right here, we're gonna go to this young lady here, and we're gonna finish with this gentleman.
Andy Becker.
I'm lost. Where is the back here? There you go.
Around this time last year, you guys brought Matt Nagy back. Why was it important for you to do that, and how have you seen his relationship with Patrick grow this year?
Yeah, so Matt knew him before he left, had him for the year, and I knew they had a good relationship then. I felt that was kind of a no-brainer. I mean, he's a great coach, and so bringing him back on staff would just keep us moving in the right direction, keep Pat moving in the right direction, and it's done that. He's been great with Pat, and at the same time, it's tough when you're a head coach and you get you get released. I mean, he was coach of the year just a couple of years ago, and then ends up things didn't work out and ends up being released. So it's good to knock some of that NFL scar tissue off your head and get going again. So he's been able to do that. He's in a great place. I'm sure somewhere down the road here he's going to get another opportunity. He's a fine football coach. Yeah.
Coach Lena Washington, 12 News in Phoenix. I wanted to ask about Mike Kafka. He's one of the candidates here for the Cardinals. What kind of man and coach is he? What will he do with Kyler Murray, given the development he's been able to have with Patrick?
Yeah, so I've actually told Mr. Bidwell this too. He's very intelligent, great human being, and your quarterback would love him. He'd challenge him to be better than he even is now, but he'd do a great job. He'd challenge the team, and I think the guys would respond. He played in the National Football League. I had a chance to draft him out of Northwestern, and so I think he'd be tremendous for the city, for the Bidwell family, and for y'all.
Last question right here.
Congratulations, Coach Reid. By far, this is the biggest game in the world. How do you keep your players focused and composed during this time and keep them focused on the game and not getting everything taken away from them?
Yeah, so you worry about that with some of the young guys. The older guys, I've got enough of them here that have been through it. They understand, and I'm banking on them sharing their experience with the young guys. The team's been very focused all year to get where we are now. You've got to stay focused. There are a lot of ups and downs in the National Football League to put a record together like we did. You've obviously had more ups than the downs, but within that, it takes tremendous focus every week to be ready to go. I mean, the parity in this league is ridiculous right now, and so you've got to have some mental toughness and the ability to focus in if you're going to end up where we're sitting here.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
It's the beginning of it, and we want to make sure that we set the stage for future generations to come.
You attribute a lot of your arm strength and your arm talent to playing baseball as a kid. You played shortstop. Out of curiosity, I don't know how much baseball you watch, but is there a shortstop that you look at now in the MLB that you think is the best in the league?
The best in the league? That's a hard one, but I think Bobby Witt Jr. is coming for that crown at some point.
Hey, Patrick, a couple quick questions for you. One about the ankle. Of course, I know you're going to be fine. You're going to play, of course. Can you take us through what the rehab and recovery process will be this week?
Yeah, it's very similar. I mean, you're in the treatment room as much as possible. You have to make sure you get your rehab in. You have to make sure you get the mobility right, everything like that. Luckily, you had an extra week, so that helps out a ton. But you still just try to get whatever you can to be close as you can to 100% by game day.
And you've talked about that sort of fuel from the loss from 2 years ago. What about yourself have you learned? What have you changed in preparation over those 2 years to get to this point?
Yeah, I think the best thing I've learned as a quarterback at the quarterback position is not trying to do too much. Just whenever stuff's not going your way, like the last game, the Bengals game, where I had that dumb fumble in the fourth quarter, just not letting those mistakes compound each other and just getting back to the game plan and whatever I can do to have a positive play and trusting in my teammates. That's something that I've learned over these last few years is you can't do it all by yourself. It takes your teammates and the team around you.
What do you think about your legacy? How do you compartmentalize not worrying about legacy and going out and winning this game?
I'm still so early in my career. I mean, I feel like all I focus on is winning the day. How can I get better today to prepare myself for the end of the week and this game that we're playing in? And I've always thought if you go out there and handle business the right way and do what you do and you win football games, that stuff handles itself. And so I never really think about my legacy after football. That'll be something that I think about after I'm done playing.
now, especially now that you made it this far?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was valuable of those guys getting up to speed fast and them having the ability to step right in and have success. But I think more than that, it was about building those relationships. That when times got tough, you have this built relationship with these guys that you lean on. And so when everything's not perfect and everything's not going our way, we have a brotherhood and something that we can lean on to help us get through those times.
Speaking of brotherhood, Travis Kelce said that you guys are brothers last night, and, he and Jason. Are you close to Jason at all? Is there a relationship between you two guys?
Yeah, I've got to hang out with Jason multiple times now just because, like you said, me and Travis are like brothers, and I feel like his family is like one of my second families. And so I'm always, after every game, it's either he's at my house or I'm at his house, and we bring both friend groups together. And I remember my wedding and like the bachelor party and then my wedding day to see Travis like with my friends, you would have thought they grew up together. That's just, it goes both ways. I mean, like we've kind of joined each other's friend groups and kind of become brothers throughout our relationship on the football field. I mean, he's a special player, and obviously, I think people always saw his running ability, but the way he's able to develop as a passer, he can execute and take advantage of whatever's on the football field. And whenever you work that hard and you leave everything on the field every single time, the guys follow you. And I think that's the most special thing that not everybody has, is the ability to have people that are older than you that have put in the work as well follow you on that football field to whatever means necessary. And so he has a special ability to have guys that will follow him, and that's why he's in the position that he's in today. Oh, yeah. I mean, we're playing a great defensive line, so we might need you back there, man. What's up, Mexico?
Patrick, how does your family play a role on the field for you when you play?
Yeah, I mean, I've been lucky enough to have a great support system around me my entire life. And obviously my family is the biggest part of that, and the way they supported me and following my dreams and not just being a baseball player, not just being a basketball player, but to follow your dreams, whatever that is. And so them telling me to be the best me that I can be no matter what it is, that's helped me be in the position I'm in today.
How does your faith play a role in the field for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that my faith plays a role because I have no added pressure of trying to win, and that's all that my life means. I know that I'm in this position for a bigger picture at the end of the day, and so obviously I want to win and I want to go out there and have success on the football field. But I know that I have something I can always lean on, and a reason that I'm standing on that football field.
You've been here 3 times in 6 years. When you see Tom Brady's going away after so many years at his age, do you see yourself playing at that age in this same stage, like 19 years or 18 years from now?
Yeah, I mean, it seems far away for sure, but you want to play as long as possible. What Tom has done, I don't know if that'll be matched the way that he's able to play to 45. And I mean, he's retiring, but I mean, he still had a very high level season that he played. He's just choosing to retire, and so the way he's able to take care of his body and prepare himself is unmatched. And so I just try to learn guys like that and prolong my career as long as possible. And God willing, I stay healthy and I'm able to play until I'm ready to retire. And I can say I retired and my body didn't quit on me.
Patrick, speaking of Tom, he gave you some advice. Can you share what that advice was?
I'm not going to share exactly what the advice was, but I mean, he always gives me the best advice because he's been here, man. He's been in every situation that you could be in the NFL, and he's had obviously a lot of positives, but he's had to deal with some failures as well. And so to be able to learn from the greatest of all time at the quarterback position, I'm going to take that advice every single time.
Did you know that Peyton Manning offered Jalen Hurts some advice?
I didn't know that, man. I'm friends with Peyton as well, so I need to make sure that he gives me some advice as well.
Brought to the Chiefs, and how was that transition for him into the offense?
Yeah. I mean, obviously he's super talented and he's physically gifted. He's bigger than I think a lot of people understand, and how he's able to run routes with those physical routes in between. But I think what the biggest thing is the joy that he brings in the building every single day, and the work ethic. I mean, he is a guy that works his tail off when he's in the building, and he's kind of become one of those leaders in the receiving room. And it's cool to see because we had, I mean, other than McCole, we had all brand new receivers in that receiving room, and those guys have grown together and built a brotherhood that now they don't care who gets the catches, and you see that on the football field every week. It's a different guy that seems like they have a big game.
Hey Patrick, you spoke obviously about standing on the shoulders of those who came before you as a black quarterback. When you were recruited coming out of high school, did you have any sense that you were being pigeonholed? Even I guess Texas recruited you as a defensive back. I don't know if it was that reason, but did you have any sense of that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was necessarily pigeonholed because of the race, but I mean, I just definitely I didn't have the normal quarterback background, or I played a lot of different sports. I started quarterback at a late time in my career, and so they didn't know exactly who I was at the quarterback position yet. And so I don't know if it was the race. I'm sure that could have played a part in it a little bit, but at the same time, I think it was just me growing up so differently than other guys, especially in the Texas high school football kind of mold.
And you still think you could have been a DB if you had?
I don't think I could have been a DB because I don't like tackling people. So I would have been great at reading the quarterback's eyes and knowing the concepts, but I do not like tackling people. And even when I played DB, I had like 5 or 6 interceptions, but I had like 30 tackles in like an 11-game season. So I wasn't really filling the run gaps and everything like that.
How excited were you when Matt Nagy came back to the organization, and how has he changed the coach since the time he was gone?
Yeah, no, I mean, I was extremely excited because I had built such a great relationship with Nags that first year. And so obviously I was happy for him that he was able to go to Chicago and have some success and then have some failures, and he learned from those things. And so it's cool when you get a different mind that's been outside the organization for a little bit in the coaching staff, because they have new ideas. And so we talk about stuff, and we have different concepts that we'll work into our game plan, because he's worked with them and had success with them, and then he's worked with some that haven't had success. So it's always great to get new coaches in the building, especially ones that you built relationships with.
Love and guidance have helped you achieve your dreams. What does Dad mean to you?
Yeah, my dad's he means the world to me, man. I mean, he set an example for me of how you have to go through this business. I mean, he dealt with a lot of positives, and he was in the MLB at an early age, but he also battled in the minor leagues for a long time, and he just kept following his dream, and he was able to make it to a World Series, and he played for, I think, like 15 to 20 years of just baseball in general. And it showed me that no matter if you're not having success at that moment, if you continue to follow your dreams, you'll make it. And that's something that meant a lot to me growing up. Oh, it's one that I think everybody says, but he still says it to me this day, and he says players make plays. And that's all he ever says to me is, at the end of the day, players make plays.
Tony Dungy was the first African-American coach to coach in the Super Bowl. But I got a question for you. You and Jalen are both African-American, but you're both Christians. Tell me what that means.
Yeah, I think you see that we're very aware, and we have no added pressure because we know who we are and what we're playing for. And so it's obviously we want to win, we want to have success. But at the end of the day, we know why we're stepping on that field, and it's for a much, much bigger reason. No, I've been blessed, man, and I understand I'm blessed, and I understand the platform that I have. That's why I try to do whatever I can to be the best role model that I can be, and do things the right way every time I'm on the field.
I wanted to ask about Mike Kafka. He's one of the candidates here for the Cardinals. I know you talked about him last night. What kind of person and coach is he? How will he help Kyler Murray?
Yeah, first off, he's a great person. I mean, the way our families were able to hang out. He would have us over for dinners and stuff like that. And we built a great relationship and friendship, really, even between coach and player. And so, obviously, he's a great person, but I think how detailed he is. He taught me a ton about me coming from the air raid to being an NFL quarterback, and even sometimes when I thought it was annoying, it's made me a better quarterback, because he made sure I focused on the details every single day I stepped in the building. And I think that's why he would help Kyler even a ton too, because it would bring a different system to Kyler. I love Cliff too, so he brought a different system where he learned a different style of NFL offense from a different way. And so it's always great when you can get more and more coaches in the building that you can learn from, that have learned from a lot of great coaches around them.
That he hones in on and things that he shared with you over the years, like the most ridiculous examples he was giving me of things that he tried to teach you to pay attention to, just so you can take in the entire environment. Is there one specific small detail that may seem dumb to us, but maybe important to you, that you've been locking in on, that's part of your prep here for this week?
Yeah, I think what Kafka used to make us do is we did these things called read sheets, and he'd make every quarterback in the room read over the progression of the play every single time. And it used to kill me when I got to year 3 or 4. I was like, man, I know these in my sleep, but he made me go through my progressions and read them, and like I was reading on the football field. And so when you get in those tough moments, you can lean back on that stuff. And so those read sheets, you asked Chad Henne about them, they used to kill me and him reading them. But I know when I'm in those crucial moments, I can just get through my progressions because I've had those relationships with Kafka and the way he's able to really focus in on the details. Oh, we still do it. I've modified it a little bit now. I do it, but then I'll do it once, and then I'm like, all right, we can move on. I don't let every other, Chad will read it, and then Shane maybe, and then after that, we just keep moving on.
How important was it for Coach to put in the basic game plan last week so that young guys can understand before you got here without this?
Yeah, no, I think Coach Reid does a great job of it because if you look, I mean, it's such a – if you try to keep adding to the game plan when you have a week like this, I think you lose some of the stuff. You lose some of those great plays because you have too much stuff in and there's so much stuff going on. So to get the game plan in a week early, then you travel, you have bus rides where you go to the practice facility where guys can study the game plan even more and more. And it's just like review now. It's not necessarily, hey, we're adding new stuff. Like, how do I correct this stuff on the fly? And so Coach Reid does a great job of it. I mean, obviously last week you want to have some extra off days and you get a couple early in the week. But at the same time, when you get here now, you can focus on the details and focus on what you need to do to succeed on the field.
What was that like?
The pads, yeah, I mean that's Coach Reid, so you do it. But we weren't necessarily expecting the pads. He told us about it last week, but we didn't do that the first year I was at the Super Bowl. But he has a reason for the madness, and we follow that lead because you know that he knows what he's doing, and that's why we're in this position today. Yeah, I mean, I think we still have time. We still have a long ways to go. I mean, you still see the stereotypes whenever guys come out to the draft and stuff like that. And so I think it just takes us to keep talking about it, honestly. I mean, us putting it on a platform like this and for guys like me and Jalen to be in this game and show that we can have consistent success every single year. And I said it yesterday. I mean, there were so many guys that came before me that are obviously known. You got Doug Williams and Warren Moon and all these quarterbacks that have had great careers. But you look at the guys that didn't make it and how they grinded through, and those guys are who set the platform for us to be in this spot. And so I'm just going to continue to try to evolve the game the best I can and show about my work ethic and how we play every single year in and year out, so that one day when hopefully I'm Doug Williams and I'm looking back on these guys, we're not even talking about this because we've evolved the game so much.
We saw you guys in Miami wear the white shirts on the travel day. This time it's kind of more business-like. Is that a sign of something that you're treating this more like a business trip and not like something new?
I wouldn't say necessarily that was a sign. We thought we tried to think of something. We didn't want to go back to the Hawaiian shirts because that's already been done and anything like that. I was trying to get the guys to get the fake mustaches like Coach Reid drew on me on the plane, but I couldn't get enough guys to do it. So we just ended up rolling how we usually roll, and we're always having fun. I mean, it's always a business trip to us, and we understand what's at the top of mind, but we like to enjoy it while we're here.
Greg Ward, right? How much of a rival was he in high school, in his high school to you? And he said he beat you in everything. He was like football and hoops. Is that
Oh
right?
no, Greg used to beat me in everything, dude. Like people don't understand how great of an athlete Greg was in high school, man. He played everything. I was up 21-0 in my junior year of high school, and he was a senior. And they came back and beat us. So they had some great players over there. They were a rival high school. We ended up beating them once they were gone, but all the great players were gone. So, but Greg used to beat me in everything. I'm just hoping I can get some payback this week.
What moment you kind of master your Andy Reid system, most offensive system?
Say that one more time.
What moment do you think you can master your Andy Reid side offense?
I would say it took me about to year 3 or 4 to start mastering the offense, and I could run the offense and make plays work. We had so many talented players around me, but to be able to understand the offense and know where to have those little free plays that I can get those easy yards, that took me a while, and I think it takes every quarterback a while. That's why it's sometimes hard to we quit on quarterback so early now, and I'm like it's hard to really learn where those little sneaky freebie plays are in the offense, and so that's why I'm glad that I had the time that I had. I got to sit behind a great quarterback in Alex Smith. I had a lot of great players around me, and then by the time that I needed to learn and master the offense, I was ready. And so that's why I'm glad that I'm in the place that I'm at.
Describe the relationship among you, Andy, and Brett, and how significant do you think that is in what you guys are accomplishing?
Yeah, it's special, man. The whole organization. I mean, all the way up to Clark Hunt. Everybody's on the same page, and obviously we made some huge moves this offseason, but there was a plan. I think that was there's a plan from the owner all the way down to the equipment and to the training staff. We had a plan of how we were gonna execute and how we were gonna be back in this position, and that speaks to the organization. The relationship that we have is everybody's on the same page. We know what the goal is and how we're going to achieve it, and I think that speaks to Coach Reid, that speaks to Brett Veach, Clark Hunt, and all the players that we have in this building.
And are you apt to actually contact Brett and talk to him about things, or you'll respond to him when he talks actually about it?
I've always said that like when I'm done playing, I might want to go to the GM role. So I'll ask him some stuff about like I've already hit some guys up and was like, how was the Senior Bowl or how was the East West Shrine game? Just because I like that type of stuff. I like looking at guys and future guys and not necessarily building our team or anything like that, but I like to see who the good players are and what they think about them. And so that's just stuff that I'm interested in. And we'll talk about everything. I mean. Brett will talk to me about. He talks to me about Formula One. It seems like every single week, man. He's like, and I understand it. I've watched some of the Drive to Survive stuff, but he acts like I'm like in the weeds and really understand it. And I'm like, man, I understand what you're saying a little bit. I know the main guys, but I can't be as detailed as you are.
While you're on that, do you think about future ownership ever as you've made these investments in other teams? I know it's a generation away, but I mean, is that in your mind?
I mean, obviously, I would love to. I mean, I've been able to, luckily enough, be in ownership of other sports, and I'm gonna try to keep climbing that ladder. But I'm gonna need a lot more money, so I'm gonna have to make sure that I find a way to get some more money off the field, more State Farm commercials.
At the draft, you guys swore the Bears were coming for you.
I wouldn't. My dad took it a little far, so it wasn't that I thought the Bears were gonna draft me, but I was told that if they drafted a quarterback, that I would be the quarterback that they drafted. And that wasn't necessarily directly from their people, but that was told to my camp that I was told. So it did surprise me a little bit. But they told me they weren't drafting the quarterback, so that was the most surprising thing at all. So he acted like they were going to draft me for sure in that interview, and I was like, I don't know if it was that serious. But they did say if the quarterback was drafted, I would be the guy they drafted. It did catch me by surprise a little bit. I mean, I wasn't extremely worried about it. I mean, at the time when I came out of the draft, I was projected to be a second or third round pick. So I was just happy to get drafted into the first round. And I'm not gonna lie, I wanted to get drafted here, the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think it's well documented. So I was glad that I ended up getting drafted here. Nagy did give me the answers. He threw me a little sneak peek of what we were going to have the next day. But I still to this day think it was a test, because if he gave me the sneak peek and I didn't get the answers right, then they would have looked even worse. So he would have made sure that I was going to study, and I was up to like 3 or 4 in the morning making sure I was going to be great for Coach Reid.
See the rookie DBs every week in practice, and you guys have a multitude of them. What have you seen in their progression this year that's made them providing to go out and have the success that they've had throughout the season?
Yeah, I think that they've done well of taking coaching. I mean, I think I saw in training camp, you can see how talented they were. I mean, obviously Trent. I mean, Trent was like a veteran from the day he stepped on the football field. So he was. I knew he was going to be a great player. But then you look at those guys like Joshua Williams and Jalen Watson and Cook, and they had the talent, and you could see the physical gifts. But you knew that was going to take some refining. And I think that Coach Merritt did a great job of helping teach them. The other veteran guys in the building helped teach them, and they learned every single week, and they got better and better. So I mean, it was just a great job of them and their mentality and the coaching around them and the guys believing in them. And I mean, they stepped up huge for us, and now we need one more big game from them.
They're watching them in the AFC Championship game. The Giants goes out first drive. When you watch a lot of that game, there's 5 rookies on the defense and 1 for the secondary. How impressive was it for you watching those guys go out and shut down a very good Bengals?
No, I mean, it was extremely impressive. I mean, the receivers that the Bengals have, I mean, they have #1 receivers, it seems like, at every position. So for them to step up against some of the best receivers in the league and make enough plays to help us win when we were struggling as the offense, I mean, it was special. And, I mean, it's going to be a lot. Hopefully in these next couple of years, we have one of those lockdown secondaries because we have all these young guys getting reps, making plays in big games. And so I'm happy for them, man. There are a lot of great kids, man. I'm saying kids like I'm like an old guy, but there are a lot of great kids, man, that have worked their tail off to be in this position.
Back to being in St. Joseph this past summer, how valuable was that time, being with all those new guys on the team, especially now that you sit here about to play in another Super Bowl?
Yeah, you build relationships out there, man, and St. Joe's is an awesome place. That obviously I would want to be sleeping in my own bed. You don't like to be sleeping in the dorms or anything like that. But you build those great relationships with the guys, man. And I'm happy that Coach Reid takes us away at least for a couple of weeks, and especially when you get a new team and you're able to sit at the cafeteria, or you go riding in the same car from going to eat at Chick-fil-A or whatever that is. You build those relationships with those guys, and especially with a new team, it helps out when you're in those tough moments in the season. So I always love that Coach Reid does that. But at the same time, I'm like, man, let's go for 2 weeks. I don't know about the whole 3.5 weeks. That's a little too long for me not sleeping in my bed.
What's the difference going to be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for you testing the ankle compared to
when you were doing those days, not really being on it for the AFC, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I don't know if I'll necessarily test it, but I'm gonna go and I'm gonna try to have no restrictions. I mean, even the AFC Championship game, like I was trying to test it and practice on it and do those different type of stuff. But there'd be a play, maybe if I was rolling out, I would just kind of ease up on it or anything like that. Whereas this week, I'm gonna try to go ahead and push it and try to be as close as I can to 100%. Obviously, not trying to tweak it or do anything like that. But we've done a great job of this last week and a half of giving it rest when we need to, but still pushing it and being in the right spot. And then Julie's doing a great job at the treatment and rehab that we're doing. So it's been a great week, and it's definitely in a way better position than it was at before this last game. And I'll try to get as close as I can to 100%.
In terms of what you could add in on Friday, Saturday, if you feel.
I don't know if we'll add in anything different. We have stuff in that we kind of have marked that we're saying, like, hey, we'll see how it feels when we get there Friday and Saturday, but we've ran it at a slower pace. And so we'll get a better feel for that on Friday and Saturday, and if I'm able to do it, we'll leave it in the game plan, and if I'm not, we got enough plays in that we'll be okay.
For your fans in Mexico, is it normal to play with pain in the NFL? And how is your ankle doing?
The ankle's doing way better. It's normal to play in pain. I think if you ask all these guys in this room, everybody has something that they're dealing with. And so that's just a part of a football season, man. It's a long season. It's a lot of hits that you have to take at this position, at all positions, and you're always going to be dealing with something. So I just try to battle it out with my teammates at the end of the day and find a way to get a win.
Mexico, a message for your fans.
Yeah, I would say I love all the support. Keep supporting us. We loved our game in Mexico City. Hopefully we get back soon.
This will be the team's third year at the Super Bowl in the past 4 years. So what's unique about this team?
Yeah, I think it's the culture that we've built. It's a third Super Bowl that we've been in 4 years, but I think it's only 12 of us that won the Super Bowl that first year. So it's a culture that we've built in this building that everybody kind of passes on. And so even when new guys get in the building, we still have that same mindset of how we do things every single day. And it's special, man. When I look back on it, I think I'll appreciate it even more because how special it's been to be with some of these key guys and be in all these games.
How tough has it been to get in sync with the different receivers due to all this?
Yeah, I think it's taken a lot of hard work. I mean, I think you've seen that over the season we've got better and better. I mean, if you look at the beginning of the season, me and Marquez couldn't find some of those deep shots that we hit in the playoff game this last game, and I think that's just us building a relationship of where he's going to be at what time. And I think it'll continue to get better and better, and hopefully we get a lot of these guys back next year as well because we've kind of built these great relationships.
What have you learned about you as a leader? In what way specifically? More vocal?
Yeah, I had to become more vocal. I think I had to set an even higher standard when I came through the locker room. I had to make sure I was doing things the right way. And then when you're at practice and you can feel stuff kind of slipping or not being great, it's just kind of taking command and making sure everything's getting done the right way. And I think that's something that I've learned over my years, and I've just taken a little bit more command this last year.
You learned about the team, how they're going to trade Tyreek. What was your initial reaction to about that?
Yeah, I mean, my initial reaction was why, I got a call a couple of days before it happened from Brett Veach and Coach Reid, and they talked about what it possibly could happen. And obviously, I tried to do whatever I could to make sure that we kept Tyreek. I mean, he not only was a special player, but he was a good friend of mine, and so we tried to make it happen as best as we could, and it obviously didn't. But we had a plan for what we were going to do after that, and what steps we were going to take, and so. Obviously, you never want to lose a generational player. And I think everybody's seen that in Miami. Is he's a generational player, and but we did a great job of recouping and getting a lot of great receivers in here and great guys throughout our whole offensive of staff and of players. And so we had a plan, and I think that's the biggest thing is when you lose a great like that, you have to make sure you have a plan to replace his production.
Yeah, a little bit about your motivation. Seems like you're motivated all the time.
Yeah, no, I'm always motivated, and it's not about motivation of I have to find. It's about just trying to do what I can to win with my teammates. Like we put in so much hard work that when I look back at the end of my career, I don't want to say I have any regrets. I don't want to say that having all Travis Kelce and all these special receivers, Juju and Marquez around me, that I didn't leave everything I had on the football field. And I think that's enough motivation. That's enough motivation for anybody is just to say when you look back on your career, you want to have no regrets of how you went out there and competed.
Talking about motivation, tell us a little bit about your family. How important is your family?
Yeah, I mean, now that I have my kiddos, man, I have the baby boy and the baby girl. It just gives me a new perspective on life and a new appreciation. I mean, it's been a special run, and Brittany's done a great job of helping me still focus on football, but be able to be home. But when you get home and you have to play, I mean, it gives you another appreciation because you don't want to ever forget those moments.
When the time comes and your kids ask you how you did it, what would be your answer?
Say how I did it. I would just say for love of the game. I think that for love of the game and the guys I have around me. When I look at it at the end of the day, I think the relationships that I built are what motivate me every single day. And that's what I try to just always fall back on, is that when times are tough, do whatever you can for the guys that you love around you.
What's the difference between this Patrick Mahomes and the ones that were before on the last Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think it's just a new perspective. You understand and appreciate it even more because you've had the failure and you've dealt with the failure and had to find a way to get back on this stage. And so I think guys have a new perspective on how awesome and amazing this game is, even more than I had the last time.
I'm sure your dad showed you the Satchel Paige moves when you were growing up. And can you just elaborate on that and your connection to the Central Negro Leagues?
Yeah, my dad. So I don't know if there's video of it. My dad used to do all the different wind-ups and all the different the turning your back all the way, the throwing your hand around in a circle, all that different type of stuff, especially at the end of his career. And so I got to see a lot of that stuff as I grew up. And he always told me why he was doing it. And I think getting to the Negro League Museum and seeing even a more descriptive, more informative way of how much the Negro Leagues impacted not only the MLB but all sports in general gave me a perspective of how great those players were and why I'm standing here today.
And Bob tried to ask you about your own sense of maybe your game having some motivation out of that. I mean, is that something you can actually
do? I think it's just you see that the creativity that they had is they obviously played at such a high level, but they enjoyed it while they did. And I think that's what you see with me on the football field and my entire team is we play at a high level and we take this thing serious. But at the same time, we're going to have fun and enjoy it while we do it.
How much is being a high school basketball player, high school baseball player, how much does that influence you in your upbringing?
Yeah, I think it just taught me how to compete. It taught me how to have success in different ways. Obviously, you can see all the different stuff, the no looks and all the sidearms, everything like that. But at the end of the day, when you play multiple sports and you go out there, is you learn how to win. You learn how to compete. You learn how when times get tough, you have to have success in different ways. And I think that's what you see with me on the football field. Yeah, no, I've gotten extremely better. I mean, I took that as a challenge. Is how can you just get the ball in your hand whenever stuff's not going great? And I think you saw that this season is whenever I got in situations where I was not having as much success and we weren't getting drives going, it was about getting to those easy completions, getting to the easy stuff, because then you can have success with all the other stuff as well.
You have to describe it in 3 words. What would you mean?
I would say fast. I would say strong and handsome. Yeah, in a sense. I think we still get very game plan specific coverages that you don't see whenever you see on tape because they understand all the different stuff that we try to do. But even though those fast guys are gone, you still got a guy called Travis Kelce, and that guys are game planning for. So you see a lot of different coverages that you don't really see on tape.
Basic science to start ready to go out there. What's your message there? Do you think it's important for kids to do a bunch of different sports?
I think it's important for kids to do whatever they want to do, whatever their dreams are. If they want to play other sports and they want to play and enjoy those times with their friends, then they should do that. If they want to focus on one sport and see how good they can become at that sport at a young age, then they should do that. I think it's not a coach's decision on what a kid should or shouldn't do. It's about what the kid wants to do, and if they want to follow their dreams and then that takes them to other sports, I think that at the end of the day, they'll come back to whatever they think is the best for them, and then they can try to follow their dreams that way as well.
You played against Miami. I asked you who's got the best shoe game.
Ooh, the best shoe game, Travis is definitely up there. But we got some new guys too, like Marquez and Juju have a nice shoe game as well. But I know the defense has some guys as well, but I would say those 3 probably have the best style on the team. I'll have a suit, prepared. I haven't chose exactly which one. He made me like 3 of them. But I'll definitely have a suit prepared, and I'll make sure that it has a good look to it for sure.
You played against the Eagles them and what stands out?
Yeah, I mean, first off, they have all those great players that they had last year, but they've also added a lot. I mean, they've added a great corner in Bradbury. They've added a lot of D linemen. Hassan Reddick, I mean, Joseph, Sue. They've added a lot of guys to their D line to add the other great line they had, and they added some safeties and linebackers as well. So obviously, they when you add guys that are that talented, you can do more stuff as a defense as far as scheme-wise, and they've done that. But it's going to be a great challenge for us. I mean, last year we had a lot of success, but we know it's a different football team that has all those great players that they had, but they've added a lot of great players as well. So, I mean, we understand it'll be a great challenge, and we're excited for it.
We heard about the Super Bowl being the first one between two black quarterbacks. It's also the first Super Bowl with two quarterbacks coming from the Big 12. Do you find that surprising that it took so long for a Super Bowl to have two quarterbacks from the Big 12 playing against each other?
Yeah, we've had three out of the four in the Final Four teams too. So I think you just see that the Big 12 has quarterbacks that have always been able to have success, but we're getting those shots now, and so it's definitely cool. And then Jalen being from Texas as well. I mean, I always brag about Texas high school football and how great it is. So to have two quarterbacks from Texas. And two quarterbacks from the Big 12, even though Alabama still tries to claim Jalen. So, I mean, they try to put their claim in as well. So it'll be fun to go out there and compete against another guy from Texas.
Let's go. We gotta go, guys. Thank you.
It's been great. Yeah, thank you.
Is that the Rolex that Chris got everybody?
It is not.
It's not, okay.
It's not.
I heard he got a bunch of...
He did. I have that. I think I have that up in my room.
You know, shouldn't assume. Man, I want to ask you about Carlos.
Okay.
You know, what kind of effect has he had just on the team in general? I mean, 13 years.
A lot. You know,
Hasn't
he
even won a playoff game before this year.
Yeah, exactly. You know, he's someone that's very wise. You know, as a football player, as a person. You know, for me, he's mentored me a lot. We play the same position, and we do some things very similarly. You know, so for me, he's been a huge help, and he's helped me out a lot throughout the way.
Do you sense his hunger? I mean, after everything he's been through.
Yeah, I mean, he's had 13 years. Just like you said, he hasn't really gotten to this point, so he's as hungry as ever.
Thanks.
Cool.